My name is Trisha. Sitting on my deck, watching the morning light turn the lake silver, I'm finally at peace. 6 months have passed since the storm with my family, and the silence now is a welcome change. It's a far cry from the chaos and betrayal I once endured. My family, or what I once thought of as family, consisted of my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, and my younger brother, Leo. My father was a domineering man, always believing he knew what was best for everyone. My mother, on the other hand, was a passive, aggressive woman, often using guilt, tripping as a weapon. Leo was the golden child, constantly getting away with bad decisions, and I was the responsible one, always expected to pick up the pieces. It all started one fateful Tuesday afternoon. I was at my office when the doorbell camera notification popped up. There were 3 people with camera equipment entering my lake house, and behind them was my father, gesturing grandly. "We'll stage it this weekend. A top-notch listing. Trisha won't mind helping family," he said. I was furious. This lake house was my dream, a place I'd saved for 10 years to buy, and the deed was in my name alone. Leo had gotten himself into a mess with a failed tech startup, owing $250,000 to investors. My father called it a temporary setback, and my mother said it was my family duty to help. But I knew it wasn't my problem. Yet, they decided to take matters into their own hands. That evening, the Airbnb listing went live. It was a luxurious description of my lake house, with beautiful photos and a high-end price tag. They had already gotten 3 bookings, which would have netted them $20,000. I checked my property management account and found that my father had added himself as a co-host using an unknown email, and the payout bank account wasn't mine. I called my attorney right away. "How fast can you handle property fraud?" I asked. She promised to file the necessary papers by morning. That night, I couldn't sleep. Instead, I created what I called the ghost ledger. It was a record of all the times my family had taken advantage of me. There was Thanksgiving 2021 when Leo announced his startup. My parents toasted his brilliance for an hour while I mentioned my promotion to project manager. My mother just said, "That's nice, dear," without even looking up. Then, Christmas 2022, my father borrowed the lake house for Leo's business meeting and returned it in a mess. I spent $3,500 on repairs, and Leo never even said thanks. And in March 2023, Leo moved into my guest room, temporarily for 8 months, using my food, my car, and leaving without a word of gratitude. The ledger had 45 entries, each a small theft of my money, time, and dignity. The origin of my realization that enough was a Tuesday morning 3 weeks ago. I called my father to share the amazing news that I was being promoted to a senior partnership at my firm with a $350,000 salary. He said, "That's great," in a flat voice, and then immediately said, "Leo needs help. The investors are getting tough. Can you?" I hung up. At that moment, I knew I couldn't keep being their ATM. The next day, the county assessor's office called. Janet, an old acquaintance who had helped me with my property tax years ago, said there were issues with the rental listing of my lake house. It was registered as my primary residence for tax purposes, but the host profile wasn't mine. I went to her office and showed her all the evidence of the fraud. She was appalled and said she had to report it to the fraud investigation unit. I took immediate action. I changed passwords, revoked my father's host status, contacted Airbnb's trust and safety team, and alerted my bank. By Wednesday afternoon, Airbnb suspended the listing. By Thursday, my attorney filed an emergency injunction. My father called me in a rage on Thursday afternoon. "What did you do?" "The listing is gone, and the account is locked." I told him I was protecting my property. He accused me of being selfish, and I challenged him to be specific about what they had done for me. The silence on the other end was telling. I then changed all the locks of my lake house. My mother called later, trying to guilt-trip me, saying my father was devastated and Leo was crying. I told her that family respects boundaries and doesn't commit fraud. I also informed her that it was now a legal matter. The fraud investigation was thorough. The county fraud unit interviewed me, my parents, and Leo separately. Airbnb banned my father's account permanently. A title search revealed that my father had tried to add Leo's name to my deed, forging my signature. Janet submitted a report recommending criminal referral for tax fraud. The trial was a turning point. The doorbell footage was played, and the jury was clearly appalled. The prosecutors showed the ghost ledger, and the evidence was overwhelming. Dad was found guilty of criminal impersonation, attempted fraud, forgery, and identity theft. He got 16 months of probation, $12,000 in fines and restitution, and 180 hours of community service. Leo got 10 months of probation, $6,000 in restitution, and 120 hours of community service. My mother was issued a permanent restraining order at my request. Now, as I sit here, I've learned that real family is about respect, boundaries, and reciprocity. My savings are increasing by $8,000 a month, the amount my father had planned to steal. I've booked a trip to Australia, something I'd always put off. The lake house is mine again, peaceful and private. The ghost ledger in the locked drawer is a reminder that I was right to protect myself. The account is closed, the debt is paid, and I'm finally free.